Hello everyone, welcome to Insurance Business TV as we delve into the professional liability risk landscape. Like so many aspects of insurance, it is a sector that has been greatly impacted by the huge rise in the use of artificial intelligence. But what does that mean for policies, and indeed, what does that mean for brokers? Well, here to talk us through it all, we welcome Dennis O'Connell, SVP, Professional Liability at Westfield Specialty. Dennis, welcome to Insurance Business TV.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So Dennis, we've seen recent changes in terms and conditions that suggest that AI is increasing professional liability risk. So in your view, what are the most misunderstood aspects of AI risk in the professional liability space? And indeed, how should insurers approach companies that are actually proactively and responsibly integrating AI into their workflows?
First, I'd say that AI isn't just a source of exposure. It can actually be a tool for managing and even lowering existing risk. I think there's a tendency right now to overreact to AI in the context of professional liability exposure, not in terms of its transformative impact. That's undeniable. But I think we need to be thoughtful and not jump to the conclusion that this is going to be a Armageddon moment for liability risk. There are really two key reasons for that. First, most AI-related claims stem from misuse, weak governance, or poor data quality. And these are fundamentally human errors, not flaws in the technology itself. And they can be mitigated with strong oversight and clear procedures. Second, when AI is implemented responsibly, I actually think it can be a powerful risk mitigant. It can reduce human error, it can improve decision-making, and it can strengthen compliance. With all that said, I believe insurers are smart to be studying this issue and introducing safeguards, and to be underwriting this exposure to understand which insurers are introducing technology responsibly. But the reality is that this risk landscape is evolving, and it's probably too early to declare what the net effect of AI will be with respect to overall exposure on insureds that are using these tools.
Yeah, you've given us a lot of the positives of AI there, but if you don't mind, I'll zoom in on some of those risks. There are, of course, significant risks when it comes to the use of AI and automation, such as lack of supervision, regulatory compliance, and privacy concerns. So what stands out for you?
First, I agree with all the concern you mentioned, and I'll add a bit to that. You started with lack of supervision, and obviously that's a big issue. AI is not perfect. It hallucinates. And we've seen real world examples of this, such as law firms that got themselves in trouble submitting briefs with fabricated citations. And as you mentioned, those types of mistakes often lead to fines and penalties or have other serious legal ramifications. And I'll just add a few other things that I'm observing. The first is particularly relevant to professional service firms. And the leaders of these firms are aware and trying to solve for this issue, but it's a lack of workforce development. We are eroding the apprenticeship model. Traditionally, junior employees learn by performing foundational tasks. And now with AI doing a lot of that work, future talent may lack the hands-on experience that's needed to build expertise in their fields. And finally, I'll add one more thing that I think is particularly scary for insurers. And that's that AI mistakes can occur more quickly and at scale than human errors, and they can compound rapidly across systems. So those are just a few of the significant risks that we're seeing.
Well, okay, now that I'm worried, we'll flip back to the more positive sides of AI. So how can AI actually help reduce professional liability losses? Can you share any examples where AI-driven analytics or automation have demonstrably minimized human error, reduced risk, or indeed improved fraud detection?
Absolutely. I think we've reached a point where not adopting AI is itself a risk. As industries evolve, failing to leverage AI can mean falling behind in competitiveness, or even failing to meet the emerging standard of care expected in many sectors. And so, as I touched on earlier, there is a benefit that many of our insureds are using AI tools to reduce their own risk and by extension ours. And I'll point out a few areas where I think we're seeing the biggest measurable difference. The first is fraud detection. Fraud is one of the most severe sources of claims in professional liability. And AI excels at analyzing patterns and anomalies to detect and prevent fraud. These tools are now widely deployed in financial services and among our CPA firm clients, where that early detection will significantly reduce our risk. Another area is error reduction. I mean, simply mistakes. Mistakes are the number one major driver of claims frequency in professional liability. And AI, when paired with human oversight, can actually review work and catch these errors or mistakes before they occur. A couple areas where we're seeing this. Many of our insureds will utilize AI as an additional check on things like contract language to identify harmful non-standard terms and conditions or for compliance. Others will use it to review designs and do simulations and test their assumptions. But what we're seeing broadly is really an enhanced decision-making model, which reduces our risk. But of course, in all these cases, we stress there needs to be a human that's involved.
Yeah, I think a lot of people like to use AI, they like to experiment with AI, but they don't necessarily know the best practices. So what best practices are you seeing among the most sophisticated insureds when it comes to AI adoption? For example, how important is it to have a formal AI framework to maintain a human in the loop, as it were, or indeed to provide ongoing employee training?
I completely agree with all of those things you just mentioned. I think it's very important to have a formal framework. We're seeing most of our sophisticated insureds are doing that. That includes things like we've talked about, having a human in the loop oversight, especially when performing high impact processes. This ensures accountability and it provides a safeguard against hallucinations. Like you said, continuous training is also extremely important. This needs to be more of a cultural shift, and sophisticated insureds are providing training not just on the capabilities, but some of the limitations of AI that we've been discussing. And I would also add that it's important to do scenario planning and have contingency measures so that if you have a failure, you can ensure continuity across your business. And finally, I would add that most sophisticated insureds have a process of audit or monitoring to detect issues before they become systemic.
Yeah, and Dennis, just to wrap up for us, do you have any advice for brokers as they prepare their professional liability clients in what is, of course, a rapidly evolving AI landscape?
I have a lot of advice for my brokers, but I would advise simply, we recognize that AI tools are no longer optional. They're optimizing efficiency and quickly becoming table stakes in most competitive industries. And while we're continuing to study how these technologies impact the risk environment, our view is that insureds who have implemented strong governance and oversight are well positioned going forward.
Yeah, great tips there. And Dennis, huge thanks for your time today. No doubt AI will be the centerpiece of many more discussions. So keep it right here on Insurance Business TV.